In our mermaid series, we revealed creatures swimming behind boats, mysterious figures lurking in the deep, and shocking footage that left millions questioning what truly lives beneath the waves. But now, the ocean is showing us something far more unsettling. Why are new mermaid-like shapes appearing in waters where sightings never happened before? Why are fishermen reporting voices, echoes, from beneath their boats, moments before creatures surface? And why are divers capturing clearer, closer, and more intelligent movements than anything we've shown in previous episodes? Something is changing. Something is getting bolder. And the new videos we're about to reveal suggest the mermaid series was only the beginning. Tonight, we dive into the most unbelievable underwater encounters ever caught on camera. Stay close, because what you're about to see may redefine everything you thought you knew about mermaids. It was just after midnight in the Atlantic Ocean, a small fishing boat cutting through the waves, the crew tired, cold, and ready to head home. But that's when the ocean went silent. No wind, no splash, just a heavy, unnatural quiet. The fishermen at the back of the boat felt it first, a slow ripple moving under the surface, following them. At first, they thought it was a shark, but then another ripple appeared, and another, moving in perfect sync, like something was tracking the boat. One of the fishermen grabbed a flashlight and aimed it at the water, and that's when they saw it, a pale face just beneath the surface, watching them. Seconds later, a second face appeared, then a third, long hair drifting in the current, glowing eyes reflecting the light. The creatures were swimming fast, circling the boat, getting closer. The engine suddenly started struggling, as if something was dragging against it. The crew panicked, shouting, throwing nets overboard, anything to keep the creatures away. But the mermaids weren't scared. They were curious, almost playful, until one of them slammed its tail against the hull hard enough to shake the entire boat. The fishermen hit full throttle, racing through the dark. But the mermaids didn't stop. They chased the boat for nearly a full minute, swimming beside it, staring directly at the crew, before suddenly disappearing back into the black water as if they were never there at all. And here's the part no one can explain. The boat's engine had deep claw-like marks on it, marks no sea animal has ever been known to make. Now, the real question is, if these mermaids were confident enough to chase a boat this close, what are they planning next? A marine researcher in the Atlantic Ocean decided to run an experiment. He carefully attached a small underwater camera to the fin of a young shark, just to study its nighttime hunting patterns. The shark wasn't aggressive, it wasn't stressed, it calmly swam straight into the darkness. For the first few minutes, everything looked normal, just the deep blue ocean, drifting particles, and distant echoes. But suddenly, the shark froze. It stopped moving, its body stiffened, and the camera began shaking as if something massive had passed nearby. Then, through the blur, something appeared. A shape, bright blue, long hair floating in the water, eyes glowing, watching the shark. The camera captured a figure swimming smoothly around the shark, its movement too fast, too controlled, too human to be any known sea creature. And for just a second, the blur cleared, revealing what looked like a blue mermaid, right there, in the deepest part of the Atlantic Ocean. Moments later, the camera cut off. The shark returned to the surface, completely unharmed. But the footage raised one terrifying question. If a mermaid can swim close enough to freeze a shark in fear, what else is hiding down there that we still haven't seen? It happened on a cold, quiet evening along the coast of Ireland. A local man, out for a late walk, noticed something strange in the water. At first, he thought it was just the waves, soft, rhythmic, nothing unusual. But then, he heard laughter. Not human, not animal, something completely different. He moved closer, keeping himself hidden behind the rocks, and that's when he saw them. Pale blue skin glowing under the moonlight, long flowing hair drifting with the tide, and tails shimmering like silver. They weren't swimming, they were playing. The man's hands shook as he pulled out his phone and started recording. One mermaid dove deep, then resurfaced with incredible speed, splashing the other like they were teasing each other. Their movements were too smooth, too coordinated, too intelligent to be anything normal. But then, one of them stopped. It turned its head and looked directly toward the rocks where the man was hiding. Its eyes bright, reflective, almost otherworldly, locked onto the camera. The man froze. For a moment, everything went silent. And then, with a single powerful move, mermaids vanished into the black ocean, leaving only the ripples behind. To this day, the man says he has no idea how they sensed him, or why they disappeared so fast. But here's the real mystery. Were they just playing? Or were they warning each other that a human was watching? And next one will shock you. Villagers on a small beach in Mexico woke up to something they had never seen before. At first, people thought it was just another dead sea animal washed ashore after the storm. But as they got closer, everything changed. The creature's skin was completely black, smooth like a deep-sea fish, but its upper body looked strangely human. Its ribs were visible, its arms slim but shaped almost exactly like ours, and the lower half, a long, powerful tail covered in dark scales that shimmered under the morning sun. Fishermen surrounded it in silence, no one daring to touch it. Some whispered that the creature was still warm. Others claimed they saw its fingers twitch before the waves pushed it slightly. Within minutes, the rumors spread across the village. Una sirena negra, a black mermaid. People started recording from every angle, trying to understand what this thing really was. Some said it came from deep underwater caverns. Others believed it was pushed ashore by something even bigger lurking beneath the waves. Scientists were called, but before they arrived, the tide began to rise, and the creature's body slowly started sliding back toward the ocean, almost as if something was pulling it from below. But here's the real question. Was this truly a mermaid? Or just the first sign of something much bigger appearing along the coast? And next one will shock you. Deep inside the Amazon rainforest, far from any town or village, a man hiking near an isolated lake noticed something strange, disturbing the surface of the water. At first, he thought it was just a giant fish or maybe a log drifting, but then something bright blue flickered beneath the waves. Curious but scared, he pulled out his phone and started recording. The lake was silent. No wind, no movement, until suddenly a blue tail shot out of the water, curved and vanished in a single powerful splash. Not the tail of a fish, not a dolphin. This thing was long, smooth, and shaped exactly like the tail of a human-sized creature. The man froze. He said the tail moved with too much control, too much intelligence. It wasn't running away. It was circling, watching him. Moments later, the water rippled again. The tail appeared a second time, much closer, as if the creature was rising to the surface. But before he could capture a clear shot, the forest went silent. No birds, no insects, nothing. And whatever was under the water slipped back into the darkness of the lake, leaving only a faint blue glow fading beneath the surface. Locals claim this lake has always been home to something unusual, something they quietly call the Blue One. But if this footage is real, could the Amazon forest actually be hiding a mermaid species no one has ever seen? And here's the question. Would you dare to look into that water, knowing something intelligent might be looking back? What if I tell you what really happened to unsinkable Titanic ship that night, which I explained in 3 parts? You will see that in the end of video and Friends, the next clip will scare you. In 2013, what started as a simple drone test over a quiet coastline turned into one of the strangest ocean encounters ever recorded. A local man had sent up his drone just to film the dolphins that visited the area every morning. But when he reviewed the footage later that night, he noticed something moving beside them, something that wasn't a dolphin at all. At first, it looked like a dark shadow gliding through the waves, but as the drone got closer, the shape lifted above the water, revealing a long black tail that shimmered in the sunlight. And even more shocking, it was swimming playfully with the dolphins, matching their speed, weaving between them like it belonged there. The figure moved with unbelievable grace. A human-shaped upper body, long hair flowing with the current, and a tail powerful enough to cut through the waves like a torpedo. But the moment it noticed the drone's shadow on the water, everything changed. The dolphins scattered, the creature froze, turned its head, and for just a split second, the camera captured its face, before it dove straight down, disappearing into the deep as if it never existed. When the video leaked online, people argued for years. Was it a trick of light, a new unknown species, or the clearest proof yet that mermaids might not be a myth? But here's the real question. If this creature was comfortable playing with dolphins, what does that say about its intelligence? And how many more might be out there that we haven't seen yet? This happened on a quiet morning at a remote beach, and the video still has people arguing to this day. A group of locals were walking along the shoreline when one of them spotted something huge washed up in the sand. At first, everyone thought it was just a big piece of debris, but when they got closer, they froze. Lying half buried in the sand was a tail, a massive, dark, silver-blue tail, almost 6 feet long. The scales looked fresh, wet, and shining, like they belonged to a creature that had just come out of the water. Some villagers insisted it was the tail of the biggest fish they had ever seen, but others noticed something different, something impossible. The shape wasn't like any fish. It curved, flexed, and had structure almost identical to a mermaid's tail, the same kind people have reported for centuries. One fisherman said he'd never seen a tail with joints like that. Another claimed he saw similar creatures years ago, deep in the offshore waters, just before sunset. And the deeper they looked, the stranger it got, because the tail didn't match any known species documented by marine experts. So, what exactly washed up on that beach? A giant, unknown fish, or the remains of something we weren't meant to discover? And here's the real question. If this is just the tail, then where is the rest of the creature? Next clip will make you wonder. The Pacific was black that night. No moon, no stars, just the slow, heavy breathing of the ocean. An offshore maintenance worker, doing a routine check on a small buoy station, drifted alone in a tiny service boat. It was supposed to be a quiet shift, the kind where nothing ever happens. Halfway through the inspection, he heard something strange. Not the wind, not the waves. A faint cry, so distant it almost blended with the hum of the sea. He turned off the boat engine. Silence wrapped around him, thick and heavy. Then he heard it again, closer, a sharp, trembling sound that climbed into the air like fear itself. He raised his flashlight toward the water. The beam cut through the dark, just barely. At first, he saw only ripples, but then a pale shape surfaced. Long hair floated like tangled white seaweed. A face broke the surface. Too human to be a fish, too strange to be anything he knew. Its skin was so pale it almost glowed against the black waves, but the tail was unmistakable. Scales shimmered faintly, blue and silver, as if reflecting light that wasn't even there. The worker froze. The creature stared back, eyes wide and shining, as if begging for something he couldn't understand. Then it screamed. The sound ripped through the night, high, piercing, echoing across the empty Pacific. The worker dropped his flashlight, hands shaking. The scream wasn't just loud, it felt wrong, ancient, like something the ocean had been hiding for centuries. The creature thrashed in the water, sending sprays of cold seawater over the boat. The worker fumbled for his phone, hands trembling, trying to record anything. Proof for when people wouldn't believe him. Lightning flickered on the horizon just once, and for a split second, the entire scene lit up. The creature's hair clinging to its face, the tail twisting violently, the water turning white around it. Then, without warning, it lurched toward the boat. The worker stumbled back, slipping on the wet floor as the mermaid's hands gripped the side of the boat. Her eyes were wider now, fearful, desperate. Or maybe angered by the light, the noise, or him. With another scream, she pushed off violently, disappearing beneath the surface in one powerful motion. The water exploded, then fell silent. The ocean returned to darkness. Quiet. Empty. The worker sat alone, soaked and shaking, phone still recording nothing but the sound of his own breath, wondering if the scream he heard was a warning or a promise that she wasn't alone out there.